And this is in confirmation of the previous Warthog defense story. Yuri Podolyaka reports that the area south of the same river, including the district center of Glushkovo, has been cut off from the north after Ukrainian forces destroyed the key bridge over the river earlier today. This afternoon, the enemy destroyed the bridge over the same river in the Glushkovo area. It was the most important and powerful bridge of the 4 existing ones. Moreover, it is located at a relative distance from enemy-controlled territory. The bridge in Zvanoe, and even more so in Karij, is under enemy fire control and therefore can only be used to a limited extent for supply and evacuation. By the way, after the destruction of the bridge in Glushkovo, the evacuation of the civilian population south of the seam was suspended. Most of them have already been taken out, but unfortunately not all. Now this territory is exclusively under the control of the military, who, judging by the enemy's preparations, will soon have to withstand a powerful blow from the Ukrainian armed forces. For now, the enemy is trying to slowly advance from Snegosty and Venezapone, but without much success at the moment. But this is just a prelude. I think the enemy will soon trample here with much larger forces. It will be very difficult to stop him. Let's keep our fingers crossed and pray for the guys. Mopping up operation that reveals many Russian conscripts tried to change in civilian clothing to escape capture. The Russians are just cowards.
Давай быстрее, сука, перебирай ноги, блядь, сука, голова, правильно, блядь? Нет, ты держите! Держите, блядь! Следующий, сука! Дай землю, кишки, сука! Следующий! Дорожника панча! Хотел нахер это говорить!
Строите? Ну, тут вас. Ну и там десь десяток. Давай, попроще, не сильно.
Mom, I really want to go home. Write to Putin, write to the Minister of Defense so that they get us out. Don't send conscripts to the front lines. We have a long life ahead of us. Otnolan Nikita Alexandrovich, 1209-2003, Tatarstan, Kaltakovo Village, 252nd Regiment, captured in Kursk region. A video of the evacuation of Ukrainian soldiers during close contact with the enemy, who had already reached the defenders' positions. After the artillery masterfully did its part of the work, the crew of the Bradley fighting vehicle mowed down the Russians with its rapid-fire cannon and saved the lives of Ukrainian soldiers. Brilliantly planned evacuation of soldiers and elimination of the enemy. 47th, Separate Mechanized Brigade's Aerial Reconnaissance Unit, God's Cause. Another USSR flag is taken down, somewhere in the Kursk region. Moscow claims that the bridge strike marks the first missile attack on Russian territory using Western missiles, implying they do not acknowledge the August 9 attack on the convoy in Rilsk, which killed dozens. Unique footage from the 225th Battalion shows operation of UR-77 anti-mine vehicle at the state border in the early hours of the Kursk offensive. The video shows Special Operations Forces in the Kursk region shortly before the main events began. Boris Johnson. Ukraine should be allowed to launch long-range strikes against Russia with Western weapons. The former British PM is impressed by the actions of the Ukraine in Russia's Kursk region.
By their incredible counterpunch in the Kursk region, the Ukrainians have shown once again how grievously we've underestimated them throughout this conflict, this war to expel Putin from Ukraine. And so now, by all that's holy is the moment for us in the West to give them the permission to use the weaponry that we're already giving them. To find out more, read my column in the Daily Mail.
Unable to contain the Kursk offensive, Russians randomly hit a street in Sumy with a missile. Russian attacks across Ukraine over the past day killed at least 3 civilians and injured at least 10, including a child, regional authorities reported. Ukrainian forces downed all 14 Shahed-type drones launched by Russia overnight from Primorsko-Akhtarsk, Yeysk, and Kursk in Russia, the Air Force reported. Russian forces attacked the northeastern city of Sumy on the morning of August 17th, injuring at least 2 civilians, local authorities reported. Russian forces launched an Iskander-K missile attack and a KAB bomb airstrike against the city, the Air Force and the Regional Military Administration reported. As a result of the attack, 10 cars parked near multi-story residential buildings caught fire. The State Emergency Service said the blast wave damaged windows and facades of the surrounding buildings. A fire has erupted aboard the former Soviet Kiev-class aircraft carrier Minsk, which has been languishing in a man-made lagoon along the Yangtze River in China for years. The fire broke out on August 16th around 4:00 p.m. local time. The blaze started while the carrier was undergoing demolition and renovation at the Sushitong Park, a site north of the Sutong Bridge, where the Minsk had been anchored since 2016. Minsk was sold to a Chinese company after the fall of the Soviet Union. It then became part of a theme park called Minsk World in 2000. The theme park went bankrupt in 2006. The carrier was relocated to its current location in the late 2010s. Plans were announced in January 2024 to turn the Minsk into a National Defense Science Education Center. The ship had been in increasingly poor condition and was a destination for urban explorers.
无人机在上面。明斯克航母是怎么了？
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.